Excellent. There we are. Good stuff. So hopefully some of you would have come across from Instagram. Jack just did a live on Instagram to try and pull over people to YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. So welcome everyone. This is our weekly Friday expose with myself, Ben Richards, and Jack Jiggins, as part of XP Properties Friday Q&A, weekly update for everything property and business related. Just to give a rundown of what's gone on in the week. So if you haven't joined us before, welcome. Do pop questions into the comments section if anything sparks your interest or there's problems that you're having within your property business or your business in general. We'd love to kind of have questions flowing throughout this. So let's crack on and look at point number 1, which I haven't prepared yet.
So I can give everyone a bit of a teaser of what we're expecting to come up. So today we're going to be sharing an event that we spoke at on Wednesday, which was our largest audience that we spoke to collectively. We also, Ben and I went to Barcelona in one day and came home same day. So we'll be sharing what happened there. In addition, we are being bent over the barrel by the council on one of our projects, and we'll be sharing a bit more about that. We completed on another site. We've had a busy week with our non-exec advisor and business coach. We've agreed some new affiliates to come on board and help our contacts get better rates as a collective. I will be featuring I'll be speaking at Tyler Newman's and Rosie Cassidy's event tomorrow, Saturday. And then last but not least, our newsletter, if you're not already subscribed. So Ben, kick us off with numero uno.
Cool. Yeah. So Wednesday night, for those that we met at the Baker Street property meet, it was really great to meet you. I had to shoot off, unfortunately, after our talk, but Jack, I saw, was absolutely mobbed by questions and people coming up to him afterwards asking about our business, about the property deal of the year project, which we ran through. It's a cracking event if you haven't been before. It's the biggest property investment event that I see in London. There were over 300 people in the room. As you can see from that photo, it was absolutely packed. And it was a fantastic opportunity to present to property investors from all over the country about the Property Investor Awards and the deal that won us Property Deal of the Year in December, which we're going to run through on this call. So before we get too far into it, I'd like to introduce that deal, and it's this. So Jack, do you want to give a quick overview?
Yeah, so the building you can see is obviously a red brick traditional building that we bought back in 2021. It's based in Abingdon, which is just south of Oxford. So within Oxfordshire, we already have quite a strong presence of HMOs and rental properties in Abingdon. So this was a block of unbroken 14 flats that we bought the whole freehold. We actually bought the company that owned the freehold. So it's pretty peculiar being a 31-year-old that owns a company that's older than me. We basically saw value to buy and refurbish every single flat that's within the block. So that's what we did. And the reason that we've created value is we saved money on the entrance. So with the property purchase within a company, we also reconfigured some of the apartments. Ben managed to get planning permission to add 6 dormers on the top floor.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, repurposing the flats to make them a lot more logically laid out. They're already very compact, as you can probably see by this floor plan, but we reconfigured and enhanced the apartments. We're pretty much finished on the scheme. As a process now, we're just re-roofing the top floor flat and then fitting it out. But yeah, so last year in December, we were fortunate to collect the award of Deal of the Year in an extremely competitive competition process. So it even meant so much more when our application was acknowledged and we managed to win Deal of the Year, which was obviously great. But how many of these slides should we go through?
We've been through the biggest ones. I mean, people just often want to know how we fund things. So this one, we had an equity partner. So they brought £500,000 of investment into the deal. And as Jack said, kind of because we bought the company, it was a share purchase. So the SDLT, the stamp duty was far less than what it would have been buying the asset as an asset. So we bought the company that held the asset instead. We had just over £1 million worth of debt from a bank and a £400,000 development facility to draw down in arrears as works progressed. We didn't do a huge amount with it. We took a few rooms back to brick. We freshened up with new kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, paintwork to just go from this one on the left-hand side where a bit dingy, horrible light fittings, ugly kitchen, to these ones on the right where it's a much nicer place to rent with good lighting, quality finishes and fittings, and just breathe a new air of life into the building. We removed this really unsafe external staircase, which you can see in the top left-hand image, and internalized that staircase up to the top floor flat. So that's one of the major structural changes that we made, together with turning that 2-bedroom flat up in the loft into a 4-bed HMO, and that is being progressed at the moment. These photos on the left are from last week. So the tiling should now be completed. We re-roofed everything. You see the big tin hat above the roof to keep it dry over the winter. But the fit out of this loft conversion will really be taking shape in the next couple of months now, and it's due for completion pretty much end of May.
I can do this one.
Yeah.
So some of the reasons why we believed internally that it could have been deal of the year, and obviously was awarded deal of the year, is this was back in a time when banks were freezing products and not very confident. So I'm talking about very early on during the COVID 2021, when we were agreeing this bid and getting it under offer. One thing that we couldn't ignore, debt at that time was 7.5% for a development facility. And we were buying it on an 8% net yield after our purchase costs. So it's inevitable that asset can cash flow and rent roll itself throughout the duration of the project. We didn't necessarily need planning to get a well in excess of 20% on GDV scheme. So there's, in our opinion, is rent rolling. It covers services as debt. We don't need planning. Therefore, it's fairly low risk. As far as a profit perspective, we actually increased the rent roll by 54% within 8 months, from 110k gross to 183k gross, taking the average flat from £709 to £1,100 a month. We did quite a bit of asset management so that we always had rent roll coming in no matter which flats we were refurbishing, and we Airbnb 2 flats as well to improve our rent roll. And then as far as the future, it's in a phenomenal location next to the Thames. It's got tons of parking. It's a very nice heritage, strong, sturdy building that's got overlooking views of Abingdon Town Centre, the church, and the Thames River. We could potentially go in for planning and improve the size by about 40% with developing the site to the north. And then last but not least, holding this asset, it net rent rolls about 4k per month to hold, and 6k net. Before Liz Truss ruined the interest rates for all of us, but whether she can be completely blamed for that is another question.
Yeah, a few other moving factors. So, we won property deal of the year. Fundamentally, that came down to the financials and the figures behind this development deal. So, just quickly going through some of those, we bought the land for just over £1.5 million. We won't spend any more than £406,000 on the build work, so we're all in for about £2 million. This valued up at just over £3 million, so including the rental income that we had coming in during the works of £160,000. Our GDV is significant compared to what we paid for it and what we spent on it. So looking at pure profit, even after finance and sales costs, even though we're not selling it, we are returning 34% on GDV, so just over £1 million profit on this deal. So we mentioned just a minute ago about there being 500 grand equity investment into this deal. So the actual return on that capital invested is over 200%, which is absolutely fantastic return for us, and that's why it won Property Deal of the Year. Cool. So number 2, we spent the day traveling to Barcelona. We flew out Gatwick at 7 o'clock in the morning, left at 8:30 from Barcelona back to Gatwick for an investor meeting. It's something we've never done before, but we felt like it was a good opportunity with this particular person. They only had a small window of opportunity to go and talk to them. So we headed out there for the day. TBC in terms of how that plays out. It was a good conversation, and time will tell how that progresses. I mean, just to give a bit of an overview, they've got a 30 million euro fund that they are looking to deploy in UK real estate or prop tech. So the schemes that we were discussing with them are two of our larger ticket item schemes. So one for 1.5 million equity, one for 1.8 million pound equity. And then actually we were in discussions about the social portfolio that we are actually selling, that we've been building over the last couple of years. So we had some conversations with them about potentially bringing some equity into that business as well. So yeah, TBC, we'll keep you updated in terms of how that progresses with the investment partner. Anything, Jack, you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say for a bit of fun and the listeners, Ben messaged me and said, "Are you free on Tuesday for a meeting on Friday evening?" And I looked at my diary and I was fairly free and could move things around. He said, "Cool, I'll get the flights booked." And I was like, "Hang on a second." So yeah, we booked our flights Friday evening and flew out all in a day. And I think we worked out that we were up for just over 20 hours that day. So
long day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be keen to hear if there's any listeners out there that have raised international investment and how they've got on with it, because this was a first for us. All of our investment has been sourced in the UK. We do have international investors, but it was sourced within the UK. So this is something that we're not afraid to obviously trial, and it'll be good and interesting to hear if anyone out there has had any international successes.
Yeah, nice. One thing that I did miss on the property deal of the year, and we've got a couple of videos on this particular deal, a 1-bed flat that we turned into a 2-bed. So do check that out. You're obviously, if you're joining us on YouTube, you're probably subscribed. If you're not, please do subscribe. If you're on a different platform, you can use that QR code and get direct to that particular video. And we will be posting a lot more video tours, a lot more behind the scenes footage of what we're up to. So do make sure you subscribe on, well, every platform really. Cool. Point number 3. I'll have a quick chat about this one. So utilities is often a really difficult part of any development. Getting a good grip of how much it's likely to cost is almost impossible when you're making offers on sites. So you're to a certain degree estimating what you think the cost may be. Even when you think you've nailed down a quote from a utilities company, paid for it, and got it checked in and programmed into your program, things can still go wrong. So we've had a £20,000 increase variation order from our for our electrical supply into our site in Princess Risborough. Fundamentally, because the council's highway team have requested that basically we fill in the holes every morning, so that the daily traffic isn't affected by our roadworks, and then we can open up the works again overnight to do the works. They've requested manual traffic lights, so that means an extra 2 people, one at either end of the works, to kind of manually feed the traffic through, amongst loads of other additional works that they are requesting now from our utilities provider or our contractors that are installing these works in terms of traffic management. So we're kind of bent over backwards. There's not really a lot we can do. They've already wasted 7 to 8 months of our time in this process. They're on site fixing and creating, connecting some of the electrical connections at the moment. So to delay the road works out the front would just be nonsensical. So unfortunately, there's 20 grand's worth of additional costs that we are going to have to suck up in that scheme. So not too pleased with that. There's not a lot we could have done, but these are the it's not all highs. It's not all winning property deal of the year. You get slapped with extra costs throughout the construction process, and this is one of them. So yeah, not ideal, but is what it is.
Speaking of extra costs, should we move on to Langley Road?
Yeah.
So point number 4 for us this week is the team in the social company have been working really hard to get this deal over the line. So we completed on a site yesterday, which we were extremely ecstatic to get over the line. Even pre-completion, this has had issues with subsidence, financing, works. We managed to agree to get in and do subsequent amount of works pre-purchase, which is quite unique. But if we can do that on the vendor's clock rather than our own finance, that's a win-win situation. So the project that you just saw in the photo, we're buying for £800,000, is going to be an 8-bed social property. So that's let out to a housing association who fill the 8 rooms with their respective tenants. So our tenant is the housing association. There's going to be £84,000 in gross rental income, and the asset will be worth 1.4 once full and refinanced to us, and that's in Beckenham in South London. So a decent, nice purchase done. I think we're more keen to get that one over the line because it took so long to get over the line. But another one's the portfolio, which is now 12 owned assets, and we've got a couple that we've worked with other owners to get them over the line. So I think we're up to about 130, 140 beds within that portfolio that have either been finished or in construction. But yeah, completion fun this week, which if the sun was shining, I'm sure I'd be in a beer garden celebrating.
Yeah, it was a difficult one to get over the line, to be honest. But yeah, very, very glad to get that completed. So number 5, business coaches would be really, really interested. Type a comment, type a note in the comments below if you do have a business coach in your business. I think it's imperative, if I'm honest. I've had one in Aura for the last three or 4 years, and it's really helped me kind of grow significantly, focus on both growth and profitability, and really focus on the key income generating issues and tasks within a business, give you a bit of a helicopter view across sales, marketing, operations, finance, and your kind of talent within the team to really focus on what's important. Because I know as a business owner, as a busy business owner running numerous businesses, numerous property developments, it's very, very hard to take yourself out of the day-to-day sometimes and focus not on the, I need to respond to this email, or I've got 5 social media notifications to respond to. It's that isn't going to make you any money. Focusing on the key elements of KPIs that actually generate income, and the key things that are going to push your business forward are incredibly important, which is why we've also now got business coaches within XP Surveys. We've got a non-exec director within XP Property, and we talk about things like this. So this is what's called strategy on a page, and this is what I've been doing with a business coach within a couple of businesses over the last couple of years. And fundamentally, the left-hand side is more of the blue sky thinking. What's your vision for the business? Where do you want it to get to? What are your USPs? What market are you operating in? What is your purpose within, within the sector? And what are the values behind your business that kind of drive it forward? And then this right-hand side is more about breaking it down into sort of strategic piecemeal bites that help you kind of get to your 12-month vision, and break that down into quarterly goals, quarterly key actions, and then monthly goals and monthly key actions to try and grow your business and push it forward. Jack, did you want to mention anything about non-execs?
Yeah, just so in XP Surveys and in Ben's architectural practice, we have a business coach, but we also XP Property have been working with a non-exec advisor for, I don't know now, probably 1.5 or 2 years, Ben. And obviously prerequisites to that, Ben and I have had mentors. I know there's a lot of development businesses out there that have non-exec advisors. Obviously, Ben and I are young and hungry and ambitious, and it's good to have some grey hair in the mix that's been through recessions and cycles and business consultancy, we actually picked a non-exec advisor that predominantly works in other types of businesses, because we're very confident in construction and delivery ourselves, and we know that piece. But we feel that there's a lot of development businesses out there that might neglect business from the set. You sort of find a project, do the capital stack, realize that it makes profit, and then you might make a profit out of that scheme. But as soon as you try and build a team and infrastructure, you really need to look at what your project size is, what your profit on cost are. You really need to look at how much profit you plan to make a year, which is how a business would look at it, but not a development business, so to speak. So I would highly recommend, first off, because it took us a while to get to this point where you think about your business as a business, and a development is just one of your products. But also a non-exec advisor helped us do that. So they're on a retaining fee once a month, and we meet with them and sort of thrash out any particular problems. Our one's naturally quite, so I suppose, leaning towards the finance side of things, and that is a really important thing for development companies when it's lumpy cash flow and forecasting. But I'd be keen to hear if anyone else has got a non-exec or interested in hearing more, and we're obviously happy to share what we do with ours, and also sort of answer any questions if anyone has any on non-exec advisory.
Yeah, I think I'd, in terms of adding to that, it's something that Jack and I have discussed longer term. Like I in particular would absolutely love to kind of go into businesses as almost a non-exec or a business coach to kind of help guide people. Like I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now. I feel like I've learned a hell of a lot that could give back and help other people kind of grow their business too. So if you'd be interested in that, I would like to know, because it's not something we offer at the moment, but in the future, I would absolutely love to be doing that. I've had a conversation in the last month with another architect who's got a team of 3 or 4 and wanted to sit down with me to see how I've taken Aura from that stage, say 3 years ago, to the team of 15 now. And the systems, processes, and sort of resources that I've put into place to kind of do that. So I feel like I've kind of walked the walk from that perspective. Would love to kind of help other people do the same, because I know how tough it is in the early stages of a service-based business. So if that would be of interest to you, do comment below, drop me a DM, and I'd love to discuss that a bit further.
It's probably worth mentioning, we don't necessarily categorize it as non-exec advisory, but we do have mentees that we help grow development businesses and grow property investment businesses already. So I thought that's sort of leading on. We've got one comment already. Yes, I'm interested. There
yes, developer, come on, get in. I'll be in touch.
Cool. XP affiliate. So over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been, well, I suppose since the business, and even before the business was born, Ben and I have been building relationships with trustworthy companies that we enjoy working with. We have worked with multiple insurance companies, multiple banks, multiple brokers, multiple quantity surveying firms, multiple surveying firms, and there's one that comes to mind that's probably the best out there. But from building these relationships and building this trust pattern, we wanted to share that with other people growing businesses. In Central Suites, for example, we build affiliate relationships with every small business in the towns that our HMOs in, because we want to support our tenants, and we want our tenants to support privately owned, family-run businesses. So keeping it local. So we do that exactly with our contacts in XP Property. So if you need any particular resources and want, 1, a recommendation, but 2, also an introduction from a warm client that we already have a relationship with them, then we can for sure introduce you. We see it as a win-win situation, that if you're contacting us and we want to help you, and alternatively we're also helping that service-based business, in most cases service-based business. So I thought that would be worthwhile sharing, because we don't really share that too much unless we're in front of you or someone asks us for an introduction. So if you need, I gave a hoarding introduction yesterday. So that's hoarding that goes around sites. We always give introductions for insurance companies, accountancy firms, brokerages, tech, whatever it may be. Contact us and we'll be happy and willing to share who we use and make an introduction if you wish.
Nice. Martin. Hi, Martin. Good question. Mentor, how do you go about getting one? depends what you're looking for. You know, Jack and I actually met pretty much at our mentoring kind of property educational platform. We had the same mentor, and you know, they'd worked with us for a couple of months and sort of said, look, I think you two would be good together, have a chat, let's see how, you know, see how things progress. And here we are 5 years later, building sort of numerous multi-million-pound businesses. Depends what you want. I think if you are on social media and you're following people on LinkedIn, you get a good sense of who you feel like you can trust, who is walking the walk, who is out there, you know, doing the things that you want to progress into. So, you know, reach out, DM, message directly. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would happily spend an hour with you discussing kind of what they've done, how they've done it, and how you could potentially kind of feed some of those things into your business. Martin's actually recently reached out to me as of last week to kind of have a chat about property. He's a structural engineer. We've known each other for many years now. You know, he knows what we do from a property perspective. He's obviously building up a bit of cash from his structural engineering business and the other stuff that he's got going on. He's now thinking about how to invest that. So, you know, Martin, I'd happily go out for lunch with Martin, sit down and share some of the things that we've done previously in the hope that he can learn from that. You know, that's more of an informal kind of mentorship or just some guidance. But you know, that type of thing is very much the type of thing that I like getting involved in, and I'm sure there's lots of other people, business owners out there that could help bring people through as well. Difference between a mentor and a coach. I mean, I think there's probably not enough time to kind of go through that, but we do get different things. So we have a Next Level Business Club, which is the sort of strategy on a page stuff that I just discussed. That's with Brian, and I'd say he's more of a coach, I would say, maybe. Would you say Nick is more of a mentor, sort of non-exec, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference between a coach and a mentor as a coach is someone that isn't probably as channeled industry-wise, whereas a mentor, I believe, is someone that's been there, done that, worn the t-shirt and showing you their notes and their advice. A mentor can double up as a coach, and a coach can double up as a mentor, but I think that's probably more industry specific. But just to touch on something you said, Ben, of, you know, LinkedIn's a great platform. I'd highly recommend finding some, you know, one thing you could do is look at someone that's running a business where your business wants to be. And you don't have to do everything that they've done. You can pick and choose the best bits, and do, you know, differentiate. If you're more down with the kids with tech, you might learn some processes of them, but put your spin or touch on it. So definitely looking at LinkedIn or other businesses that are of a greater size and pooling that experience.
Nice, and that's a very good segue into talking about your property event.
Yeah, so if you haven't already, there's a interview that I did with Tyler and Rosie on YouTube on their channel, which is Newman Rose. So just type in Newman Rose on YouTube. It's an hour long. You can try and speed me up. I think I talk fairly slowly in that video, but sometimes you can't actually speed me up. But tomorrow I've been invited to speak at their mentorship program, talking on mentorship. So they've got a group of people that are willing to take their business to the next level and sort of replicate what Tyler and Rosie are doing. I know they've got a 30 unit plus site in Cambridge. So learning from others that are in the trenches. So I'll be speaking alongside, you know, obviously Tyler and Rosie, and also Anthony Laval, who I'm actually really excited to go and listen to him talk about his PBSA growth journey. But yeah, so there's a video that Ben's showing you. But it would be looking forward to speaking at that event. 2 events in 1 week. I actually need to finalise my presentation for that, which will probably be a late one tonight, but there you go. But in this video, I talk about building a pipeline. If there's anyone out there struggling to get deals, that podcast will probably be quite relative to improve your processes, or even just take a snippet of 1 or 2 things that we do that's enabled us to buy a site every 4 weeks since we set up the company. And that's that.
Good. Something that wasn't on our list, Jack, but I just wanted to share because it's literally hot off the press. If you've been following or you've been following some of these Friday lives, you'd have seen this project. This is in Hertfordshire. It's a 6,000 square foot grade 2 listed property, and it's being fully renovated. It's about £2 million spend on this particular scheme. Part 2, phase 2 of this project is actually extending and redesigning this pool house. And we've just had a couple of sort of sketches through from one of my architects at Aura, with some sketch plans of how that's going to look, sort of linking one of a new gym with the existing property, adding a jacuzzi to this sort of conservatory type extension, changing the pool shape and redesigning that. So yeah, keep an eye out across the Aura socials for how this one progresses. We've literally just got planning approval for a grade 2 listed farmhouse, for a pool house again for that project. So yeah, pool houses, people still have money, and people are still spending money on pool houses. So yeah, do stay tuned to Aura socials for that. And then really one final thing to say, if you're not already signed up to our newsletter, every month we kind of send out a real overview of what's happened in the month, progress on sites, new sites that we've acquired, a list of the types of things that we're looking at and our requirements. If you'd like to be involved in that newsletter, we don't spam. It's literally one email a month, just giving you an oversight of everything that's going on within the business. Do head over to our website, and there's a link on there to just enter your email address and get added to our monthly newsletter. So that is really it from me.
Good. Same there.
Good. Well, I mean, hope you've had some value from that. So we are here every Friday at 5 p.m. Across YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So make sure you subscribe on all of those channels. We will be posting a lot more content on YouTube over the rest of the year. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline in the background that's being edited. So do follow on YouTube. And that's it for this week. So catch up with you next time, same time.
See you all on Good Friday.
Oh.